Don't be cheap.
Alright YouTube, what's going on? So today, we're going to get into a topic with that, well, it's going to ruffle some feathers and I don't really care. Today we're going to talk about things, one thing in particular, you shouldn't do to your car.
And we
the
both done
one
it.
thing you shouldn't cheap out on. And we've both done it.
Yeah.
So, learn from our lessons.
I did
Learn
it twice.
from our mistakes. Yeah, you did do it twice. What the fuck were you
Hey,
thinking?
I changed shops the second time. I thought I was doing better.
You got a worse result.
I did.
And fucked up studs and messed up body panels. And
Yeah.
what we're going to talk about today, don't dip your car.
It's gross.
Don't do it. So we're going to talk about the advantages,
Yeah.
and then we're going to talk about the disadvantages and the aftermath of what it did to both of our cars. And while I want to throw the shop under the bus, if you really want to know who we used, look in past videos.
Yep.
I'm not going to throw anybody
or
under
on
the bus.
Instagram.
I'm not trying to start beef, especially with a couple of kids. That's just, you know, I just don't see that as good for business. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about what dip is. For those of you who don't know what dip is, let's dumb it down a little bit. Dip is a fancier word for plastidip.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Stuff you buy in a can
Now-
at Home Depot.
There are companies, I've got friends that are in some of these companies that, well, they're using that now because it is easy. You can you can dip an entire car in a day. It's limited as far as like prep work.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to take the vehicles apart. They'll take your wheels off, but other than that, you pick a color, you bring it in, they spray it, you give it a couple hours to cure, you drive your car home that day. You can change a color very quickly for a decent price, unless you have certain shops that overprice, and there's a lot of that going around. But I think the number one advantage of dipping your car is just the availability of it.
It's true.
Everybody can get the product, and it's not like it's hard to find.
No, I mean, you can go to KP Pigments and they sell
Yep.
like the entire kit.
So it's
Spray gun
literally,
and all.
go to dipyourcar.com, they buy that base, they pick a pigment, they mix it, and they spray it on your car. It's literally that simple. And honestly, if shops took their time and they did a little bit more as far as prepping the vehicles, it wouldn't be so bad. But today we're going to talk about how bad it actually is and why, personally, I will never dip another car. Ever.
Yeah, I don't.
And why she might have to.
Sadly.
So, let's start over on Valkyrie first. So, in getting prepped for SEMA 2018, I had the car dipped by a company local here in Texas, and I had it dipped in a black base with a red overcoat and a large, like extremely large, the biggest you could get at the time, flake. And then clear coated, so it looked as close to paint as absolutely possible. Yes, the car is dirty right now, don't judge me. The other things I had done is I had the valences done to where they change colors. This is still dip. And if you look, this was perfected. This looks good. This is still all over the car. I mean, I have no complaints on that. But what I do have complaints on is this. You can't get this stuff off. And that is the number one con in my eye as far as dip. Now, if you still haven't caught on to what I'm saying, this stuff gets absolutely, oh my God, can I actually get that? No. Absolutely everywhere, okay? Prep work is essential with dip. Otherwise, it will stay on your vehicle just like that forever, okay? Now, my situation's a little bit different than everyone else's just because I had mine clear coated. A lot of people, when they plaster their vehicles, they don't clear coat stuff. There's still things on here that I like. There is going to be a new look coming to the car, so I'm gonna have to pay one of my detail guys to go through and fine tooth this thing and get as much as they possibly can off of it. But the number one con isn't the dip itself, it's the shops that do it. Take your time, prep the vehicles correctly, because if you don't, it flakes and it takes absolutely forever to get off. Now with her car, there was no clear base on it.
On the orange, there was.
Well, on the orange, but we got 90% of the orange off.
Yeah.
On the yellow, there was not. And the problem with the yellow is that is fluorescent color. So it stands out.
Yep.
We try to use this stuff called dip dissolver to get it off. And it works slightly in some areas. And then she contacted
It works if it's sprayed thinly.
Yeah. And then she contacted a friend in another state who owns a dip shop.
Yep.
And he told us to use this super harsh chemical that you don't want to leave on your paint called xylene.
Yeah.
Well, on her car, xylene works.
Because I don't have a clear coat.
Because you don't have a clear coat.
On the yellow. I have a clear coat on my like stock paint.
Now, the clear coat base that's on the Challenger, on the other hand, xylene does nothing. So I literally need to go through with like a Brillo pad or something, or tweezers, or take it to a
steel toothbrush.
Yeah, or take it to a shop or a grinder, something, to have all of it removed off of this car. That's not only bad prep work, it's just I don't know, immaturity as a business owner. You're making a product that's impossible to take off, which at the end of the day is going to damage your car. Now, the number 2 thing that I will say is a huge disadvantage to dip. It's still going to be the prep. The day that we started pulling this off. Hold on, before we even go there. The background on this paint has been ceramic coated. This paint has been completely paint corrected. It was C-Quartz Pro'd. Like, the car's paint prior to dip was spotless. Okay? And then the day that we started removing the dip off of here, I lost my cool. Really, really badly. Because as we peeled it off, I noticed that there was wet spots, water spots, that were now directly etched into my paint. What that means are the people that originally had my car and originally did the original dip on here did not clean the car. They dipped over dirty car. Okay? Now, should I have probably taken the extra step and make sure the car was washed before I got there? Sure. If any of you live in Texas, that's a pretty tall order and hard to do.
It really is.
Especially when the shop that I took this thing to is almost 50 minutes away. So, I took it off and discovered a shitload of paint damage, which extremely pissed me off. The amount of overspray, I mean, just absolutely everywhere. Let's see how much there is in the trunk. I mean, there's just overspray. And I mean, the reason I took my car to the particular shop I took it to is these guys base their whole business off of how well they prep. Well, that unfortunate basis turned out to be a lie. Honestly. Because of that, I will never dip another vehicle. Now, however, there is going to be a new look coming to Valkyrie, and while we're not going to tell you what that is yet,
it'll be good.
It's going to be intense.
It's going to be unexpected.
Oh, it's going to be extremely unexpected. We're going a route that no one, at least in the Mopar world that I've seen, has done yet. Nobody in an American car scene. Haven't seen an American domestic with it. So we're going to do something a little crazy. I'm talking to a couple of different shops about what we could do here. And then obviously I've got an outrageous amount of engine work to go. But honestly, don't dip your car. Just don't.
At least you can fix yours. I cannot fix mine.
Yeah, let's go look at that thing. Now, we're over here by the Mustang, and, well, we pulled all this off how long ago?
What, the yellow?
Yeah.
Last summer.
And how long have we actually still been catching chunks of it flying through the parking lot? What we're getting
last summer?
is this bullshit gets everywhere. Now, that's our fault. We didn't clean up very well after removing it, but here's the problem. Upon trying to remove it, we just found more. And then we found
and then your fingertips hurt.
And then you find more. And then you realize it's still all over the vehicle. Again, this is to attribute to what?
Poor prep work.
Poor prep work.
Which I didn't do.
It's painter's tape. It's fucking newspaper.
Yeah.
Now, one of the original advantages of getting dipped was the price. When it first came out, you could get your entire car any color you wanted, $500 all day long. And then other companies started catching on to it, and
they started adding flake and different color shifting things,
and then rent gets included and overhead costs.
Yeah.
Well, that quickly went out the window. So instead of plastidip, you had names like, I don't know, what was it?
What?
Dr. Pigment, and you had all these extra, hey, this color is, this, and you could get this size flake, and before you knew it, the advantage of dipping your car, because it was cheap, was gone. Dipping your car now can cost as much as actually wrapping your vehicle.
Yeah.
Which, in my mind, is just absolutely insane.
It's dumb.
You are spraying plastidip. I don't give a shit how many different names you have for it, or what brand name it came from, or what the pigment is, or how much mink fur was used in the clear coat. To tell somebody $2,000 plus to spray rubberized plastic on their goddamn car, you're a thief.
Yep.
Now, here's the other laughable option here. So keep in mind, it's still absolutely just everywhere. And we've spent hours on this goddamn car trying to get all this shit off.
Yeah, my fingertips hurt usually afterwards.
Now, here is another giant disadvantage. You see how much there is still on the car, okay? It's little crevices everywhere that we have to fix. We contacted a company to see, well, how much would they charge to pull the dip off. I personally got quoted $700. What did you get quoted?
22?
$2,200 to tear down what they had already done and respray your car just another base color.
Yeah.
Bad prep work, bad business practices, and then to fix their mistakes, they want to charge you. Otherwise, for the rest of the life of your vehicle, you're going to find fragments of this stuff absolutely everywhere.
Yep.
So, the pros. It's cheap. It's easy to do.
You can do it in your garage. Literally, you can do it yourself.
You can go get a spray gun with a certain size nozzle, pick up base, throw a pigment in there, and spray.
Yep.
I can do that in our new garage. Yeah. By the way, we are still moving. That's why there's boxes and stuff back there. The last thing we have to pack up is these garages.
And the kitchen.
But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because another one of our friends put up the other day about the same shop we took our cars to and how destroyed his vehicle is right now.
Oh yeah, because they actually tried to take his car apart and do it the right way, because the shop has had multiple instances of bad prep work. So they are now trying to do what paint shops do, take taillights out, take trim off, all this other things, but they don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to reinstall it, and they've broken, I think he said like 5 or 6 different trim pieces.
Speaking of that, come on.
Coming.
That's another thing. When you take your stuff to these shops, they are, they're not insured as far as, hey, we want to make sure we don't break any pieces, right? So upon taking this thing apart, we discovered this. Not a big deal. I don't care that much. I'm not a show car. My happy ass just likes going fast.
Yeah, until you go to take your fenders off. So we went to go take my fenders off to do the carbon ones. And I don't know who or why my fender was attempted to have been removed. But my 90-degree L bracket that keeps my stock fender on my car was completely folded in half.
Yeah.
So
trying to refit a fender to hers was absolutely impossible. And then, here's the one that really pissed me off.
And that's why Marcus did it.
Yeah. And then here's the one that really pissed me off was the day that we took her wheels off, well, we couldn't get one lug to break loose.
Yep.
And guys, I don't know if you've ever, seen me in the hundreds of videos I posted. I'm not a small guy. I put everything I had into trying to remove that bolt.
Yeah.
Or that lug nut. Couldn't do it.
It was bad.
So we ended up using an impact and pulling it back off, just to realize the stud was stripped. Now that has since then been replaced and this, that, and the other, and shit happens. But the fact that they were able to just a lug nut back on and not tell anybody, That's just complete disregard for your customer's product. That's complete disregard for your customer's valuables and their property. What I'm getting at, guys, is this. Don't cheap out.
Yeah.
Learn from our mistake. Dip is what it is. I mean, yeah, if that's what you can afford, go for it.
Sadly, I'm stuck probably dipping my car because I'm not going to paint my car. So I have to re-dip it.
The person that buys her car, honestly, getting it repainted, probably the move.
Yeah.
I've honestly thought about removing her rear fenders and getting the body work done. It's expensive.
Extremely.
It is. But if we do that, we can turn this back into a race car. There's a lot of options on the table for as far as what we want to do, but the main point of today's video was just to tell you, don't cheap out. Now, I'm also not a giant believer in vinyl. At the end of the day, you're putting a sticker on the car.
Yep.
I don't think you should be charging as much as some shops do charge.
Yeah, $5,000. I was quoted $5,500 to wrap this.
That's
when I bought my roll of wrap for $950.
$2,000 for a vinyl. You know what? I get that, because while I've attempted to wrap stuff on my own, there is kind of an art to it. There are certain points that I just don't know how to do. Like if we try to wrap this front bumper, I wouldn't even remotely know where to start to fill in the concaves of some of this stuff.
Yeah, but that's not $4,000 worth of labor.
Agreed. Now, some people, they work off their name. That is what it is. If you established your brand, you established your brand. But back to the original point, the whole point of today's video was learn from our mistake. Do your homework, research the hell out of these shops, and don't do dip. It's gonna get everywhere. You're never gonna get all of it off.
Yep.
You're not. So, that's been a public service announcement from your friends over at 86 Face. The next time you see us put a video up, we will be in our new house. We're probably gonna take you on a house tour.
Probably.
We're not gonna tell you where the hell the house is, because if another one of you motherfuckers follows me home,
you will be shot.
I've had people follow me home, and the last guy that followed me home, I got out of the car and he got introduced to a 6-hour.
Yeah, so.
Don't follow me home. I want to meet you guys, and I want you to see the car. And if it's that crazy that you have to see the car, let me know. I'll bring it somewhere.
Or tell us about a meet once this quarantine stuff's over.
Don't follow me home. That's a fucking horrible idea. I may be a little tubby now, and I embrace that, but I am still a Marine, and I will shoot you in the face. Truth hurts. Truth hurts. That's the American way, though. But there it is, guys. Learn our lesson. As rough of a lesson as it was for both of us to learn monetarily and physically, I don't want it to happen to you guys. So do it the right way. Get it painted. Stay the fuck away from Mako. Don't get a $500 paint job, because that's just as bad as dip. Research your shops. Make friends in the car industry. Support your local economy. Like, share, subscribe, all that crazy shit in between.
Stay savage.